Welcome back to the Friday 13th YouTube channel, Metalheads. Thanks for checking in. So, today you're going to be watching an interview with Swedish thrash metal band Mezzrow. Now, Mezzrow released their debut album back in 1990 on Active Records. It was called Then Came the Killing, which was part of Music for Nations group. Fantastic debut album. Now, the band broke up. They've reformed recently and they've got a new album coming out in May. It's called Summon Thy Demons and it's released on Fireflash Records. So check it out. So off Petersson, thanks for the interview, my friend. Check out the interview, folks. Leave some comments, thumbs up, and spread on social media. Thanks for watching. Be safe. Hi, Ollie.
Oh, good. How are you?
How are you?
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
You may remember me, Ulif. I used to be in contact with Lars from Rosicrucian.
Oh.
Do you recognise the name, Friday the 13th?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, many years ago, when you guys were signed to Black Mark Records, I was interviewing Lars for me. What back then was called Friday the 13th fanzine.
Yeah, cool.
So that was like very early days.
Very early days.
Okay, then.
The last days of fame in the 90s.
Yeah, it was some great times. So, Ulif, thank you for joining me for Friday 13th YouTube channel, and congratulations on Mezzrow's reformation. So,
thank you.
First of all, I'm going to ask you some warm-up questions because this is the first time I've interviewed Mezzrow. So, you formed back in 1987, I believe, the band, right? How did you guys hook up in the first place?
Sorry, could you take that again?
Yeah, when did you guys actually meet up? What year did you first meet up before Mezzrow formed?
We came from different bands. We were friends. All of us were friends, but in different bands. And then we joined together in a sort of, I should put it, like a fun band. We had just for fun called RIP. So we mixed SOD riffs with early Exodus and just played for fun but we were still in different bands. But then we decided that it sounded pretty good, this RIP. So I decided to quit. I played drums then. And sang at the same time. So I quit the drum playing and just began singing, just vocals. And then Mezzrow was starting to form. And this was in the summer of '87, I'd say. And then we started rehearsing with the real Mezzrow during the autumn of '87.
Okay, then. So you play drums first. I mean, I'm a drum tech. I drum tech for Anvil. I'm Rob Ryder's drum tech, and I was actually in Sweden last year with the band touring. I don't know if you came to any of the shows.
No, I didn't. No, sorry.
We played KB Malmö, we did Stockholm and Gothenburg.
Yeah, KB. It's a classic venue.
Yeah, it's a good little venue, actually. We actually had the guys from Candlemass came out to the Gothenburg show and started doing Metal on Metal on stage.
I saw that on Facebook. Yeah, cool.
So you played drums was your first instrument before vocals.
Yeah.
What drums did you play?
Well, I played drums in a band called Witchhammer, and I was very inspired by Les Binks from the old Judas Priest records. So Unleashing This is like a Bible to me still today. I always listen to it, and I think Les Binks was very tasteful in his playing, so I copied him a bit, and we played more like German speed metal, more rather than thrash, but then as I said, we joined ranks, you could say that, because everyone was into the Bay Area scene, so that was the mutual thing among us, sort of. That was the Bay Area scene. The Bay Area scene was everything to us and all the bands in there, and we tried to follow it as good as we could. And then we decided we want to play like that. We want to sound like Violence and Testament or Legacy back then. So that was the main reason for forming Mezzrow, actually.
All right. When you say like German speed metal and that, was you influenced by bands like Iron Angel?
Yeah, Iron Angel, for example, more straightforward, not so much riffing, most, a bit simpler and more straightforward. And one song that I remember was a huge influence on me. And that's not exactly speed metal, but it was back to back with Pretty Maids. I think that was sort of the starting point.
Great album.
Yeah, super album. And also, of course, the song "Excited" with Judas Priest was also huge for us. But we didn't really find. I wanted it to sound like thrash, my old band, when I played the drums, but we never found the right vibe. But I did that with the other guys later on when we formed Mezzrow. I felt this was it, sort of.
So what drums did you play? What make of drums was you playing back then?
I had a Pearl kit.
Right. Okay. So you became as a you said a drummer. Your influences as Les Binks. Who else inspired you as a drummer back then?
Of course, Dave Lombardo, but he was very hard to copy because he has his wrists. You know, it was very difficult for me to understand how he was doing. But I remember when you remember when he went from Show No Mercy to Haunting the Chapel EP, he started using double bass drums. I was so pleased with that because I couldn't understand how he could play a whole thrash album with one bass drum on Show No Mercy. So when he started using the second bass drum, he was my hero, sort of. It's a special part in, I think, the song Chemical Warfare. It's a heavy part a bit in, And I remember those when I felt the pedals and I felt the bass drums. I thought, wow, this is it. Now he's on track. You know?
Yeah. So what about vocals then? Why did he switch from drums to vocals? What was the reason?
Because when we the vocals are very important when you want to form a band that plays thrash or even speed metal, and we didn't have a proper singer in none of the bands, and I found out, I don't remember how I did it, but I thought Mezzrow and Paul Bailoff were really cool to copy when I sang, and I didn't understand how good it actually sounded, because I heard that on the demo tape later on that, I sound pretty cool. I didn't recognize that when we rehearsed. But Bailoff and Mezzrow was the perfect thrash voices, I thought, in that moment when we started Mezzrow. And I was the only one who could do that, so I had to sing.
Okay, then. So, I mean, how did you hook up with it? I mean, the first you did like 2 demos before your first album, I believe.
Yeah.
And the first album, Then Came the Killing, was originally released on Active Records, which is basically Music for Nations. How did you hook up with Music for Nations back then?
Dave Constable, he used to work at Shades. He moved to Sweden.
Metal Forces as well.
Exactly. Metal Forces. Yeah, and he moved to Sweden and followed the Swedish scene that was starting to grow. And they had Candlemass at Active, and a couple of other bands, Hexenhaus, and so they had heard about us and our demo tapes, and the reputation surrounding Mezzrow at the time was kind of good in the underground fan scenes. So they contacted me, and we met with Active, or Dave Constable in Stockholm, and had a beer and talked about the contract. And then he just showed us the contract. What do you think about this? And when you're like 20, you just, or even 19, 20, I sort of almost fell off the chair, cool. And so that was it. So it was through different channels in the Swedish scene back then that he got to know about us.
Right. So the name Mezzrow, what does it mean for those people that don't know?
There's 2 versions about that. My version is that we were searching for a cool name, and we were talking about Death Row, for instance.
The German band.
The German band, exactly. And we thought that sounds cool. Yeah, Death Row. We couldn't take that one. And okay, something similar, and we played around with Mess and Row. I said, well, why not? Mess and Row. And then we changed the double S to double Z to make it look cooler. But there is another version, and that's I don't really remember this, but the other guys, some of the other guys do. That our guitarist back then, Sebba, he had seen an advert in a newspaper about the jazz musician Mezzrow, and he thought Mezzrow looked cool. So because it was him that it was our old guitarist that sort of told us about the name, that he found the name. But my version is the one that I remember. But so it doesn't really mean anything. It's one version, Mezzrow, and the other version is mine. We put together the two words Mezz and Row just to make it look cool.
Okay, then. So the album then came The Killing. Now, if I remember rightly, I could be wrong here, Uffe. Was there a controversy with that cover back then? Was there some sort of like political, because it like to do with career or something?
From the beginning, we were convinced about not having a monster cover, because everyone had that, and Music for Nations thought from the beginning that we should have a straight black cover and just the logo in silver or something like that. But we thought it sounded too plain, so we said just fix us a good logo and come up with some cool ideas. And then they had a cool idea, because the photo of our cover back then is taken in Beijing.
Yeah, right.
During these demonstrations on the big square.
Is that Tiananmen Square?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they sort of made a copy of the Statue of Liberty, and that was on the night, on the evening, and the morning after, the tanks rolled into the square. So Music for Nations thought that it would suit the titles, because then came The Killing, and then with the statue the night before. So it is sort of political, but not. We didn't do that deliberately. We just thought it was a cool idea. But the cover has been sort of very popular in Asia and in China, actually. Because of this, I know. I have heard things about that.
So who came up with the title for this album?
Could have been me, because when we recorded the album, we did 3 new songs just before the recording. And one was this one, Then Came the Killing. It was one of the newer songs. We did 3 of them, as I said. And so I think it was me, and I can't really remember, but I think it's my lyrics and my title, so probably I'm sort of responsible for that. Yeah.
Okay, then. So how well did the album sell for you back in the day? Because you got some real positive reviews. I remember reading them back in the day.
Both. I think we had some really good reviews, and we had a good following, but we had also a couple of bad reviews, because we weren't too original. We sounded very Testament, Bay Area, Exodus. My voice was very Chuck Billy, and I remember Kerrang! I think we got 2 or 3 out of 5 or something like that.
All we could say is fuck Kerrang!
Yeah, they sort of, we got the axe there, and I remember Metal Hammer in Britain, also kind of a bad review. Because there was some girl who did the review, Lynn Guy, I think, something like that, and she was not even a metal girl. She was more like hard rock.
Yeah. I think I actually reviewed that for you back in the day in the fanzine, because I was getting CDs and records back then from Active Records, Music for Nations. So I'm pretty sure they sent me it. I'll have to check into my archives from 30 years ago. Yeah. Keep going. So, yeah, you were going to say, Olive, what was you going to say?
No, and I remember, but we got some good reviews, of course, in Metal Forces, which was kind of a big magazine during the late '80s and the beginning of the '90s. So that I think there was some guy called Rob Clymer or something like that.
Yeah, I know.
I think he also came over to Sweden when we were touring with Hexenhaus and checked us out and wrote some review of the live show. Yeah.
Okay, then. So I mean, after that, I mean, you guys broke up after one successful album. Why? What happened? Why did you break up?
Well, to begin with, we lost the record deal because we thought that Active Records didn't do a proper job. So when we were drunk and on tour, we sort of said that to a couple of people, and that reached the ears of the record company. And Dave phoned me and said that we can't accept you guys saying this. So I'm sorry, we have to terminate the contract. And the contract was for it was an option contract. We had a 1+2, and so we sort of we got kicked out of the company. And at the same time, our bass player, who's actually playing bass today, Conny Wilén, he moved to Stockholm to study, and also joined Hexenhaus when he. And so I started playing bass and sang at the same time. So I got I became Mezzrow's answer to Tom Araya, sort of.
Okay. So how many songs did you actually record after the album? And was you looking for any other labels approach you as well?
Yeah, I think we recorded 4 songs. And those songs are included on the re-release of the
on Hammer Heart Records, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we recorded and tried to get a new contract, and we had contact with Noise Records, which they were kind of big back in the day.
Oh yeah,
with a guy called Matthias Mader, and he thought that the death metal wave has began rolling, and he told us that this sounds very, very good. The album is great. But I'm sorry, there's no market for you guys right now. It's just death metal. So we didn't get the contract. And when we didn't get a new contract, we sort of lost our way and lost inspiration or whatever. So when we decided to call it today in '93, it was because we didn't have anything to offer anymore. I was fed up with it. I've lost interest in Mezzrow, and I joined Rosicrucian in '93. Yeah.
I mean, you did 2 albums briefly with Rosicrucian. Which one's your favorite?
Well, I think we did this No Cause for Celebration album. That was really cool, I think. But I was on my way out from thrash in general. I was kind of bored with the scene because there was no scene anymore. All my heroes had gone soft. Could you say that? Because Exodus, Force of Habit, not a good album.
No, true.
And Testament started doing ballads, and Forbidden disappeared at the time. Not completely, but Forbidden wasn't what it was at the end of the '80s.
Yeah, definitely.
And Violence quit in '93 as well. And the Nothing to Game album is not really good. I don't like it at all. And so there was no inspiration anymore. And I remember thinking the thrash scene had died out, sort of. Sepultura was still in, and I listened a lot to a band from Chicago, which never did an album back then. Syndrome, very good band.
Oh yeah, they're great. I've got one of their demo tapes. It's fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic.
They should have got a record deal, but they never did.
I think Century Media released some sort of a compilation.
Yeah, they did like the 2 demos, I think, with like a live CD. That was about as close as we got to a deal, but they were good.
And I really liked the guy who did the vocals in the band, Troy Dixler. He was a huge inspiration for me. I tried to change my vocals from this Chuck Billy sounding voice to more like in that direction.
Do you want to, like you said, talking about that singer, he kind of reminded me of the singer from Evil Dead. That kind of vibe.
Yeah. I tried to move away a bit from Chuck Billy, but it was tough because my heroes have always been some very. My heroes was back in the day were early Hetfield, Araya, and Chuck Billy. That was my heroes, and I think together with Sousa and Bailoff, of course. But when my vocals sort of matured, I couldn't do this screaming like Bailoff did. It didn't fit my voice. So I had to.
What about Bobby Blitz? Because I see you wearing an Overkill t-shirt.
Yeah, okay. Favorite album, Feel the Fire. Yeah,
taken over for me.
Yeah, I was. Deny the Cross, lovely song. No, but Bobby Blitz is more. I think he doesn't have any distortion. I like Bobby in Overkill, of course, but that wasn't the thing for me. The same goes with the Joey Belladonna. Also, very Spreading the Disease is a great album together with Among the Living, but wasn't my thing. I've always been a big fan of early Hetfield, Ride the Lightning and Master Puppets.
Yeah, when you
but also Chuck Billy, of course, was a big hero for me.
And when you said about Rosicrucian, No Cause for Celebration, I actually got a mention. My name was actually mentioned on that album. Lars put to Evil Jason on Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
If you check out the thanks list on the album, you'll see.
I haven't done that. I put in a while. Yeah, I will.
So, I mean, what made you guys, moving on, what made you guys come back all these years later to reform to do a new album now?
It was like this. It was sort of a coincidence. Me and our old guitarist Staffe and Connie, we did a song together in 2011, a thrash song, and we recorded that in Connie's studio. And then we never finished the song, so it stayed on Connie's computer. And then in 2018, Staffe he passed away in colon cancer.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was terrible, and it was very strange. I still have problems with coping with that because everything went so fast, and still is this many years ago now. But well, anyway, we remember that we had that song when we went to his funeral. We remembered we have this song. We must finish the song, and this was in May 2018. Then it took a while again, but then we decided, okay, now we'll do it. And I went to Connie's studio and I started singing. And it's a song nowadays it's called Dark Spirit Rising. It's number 9 on the album.
What was it called originally?
We didn't have it. We didn't have a title. And Dark Spirit Rising was the working title kind of early, actually. But we had his riffs and it was sort of sloppy played, and it was just a demo. But we sort of fixed it a bit, and I wrote some lyrics to it, and when I did the vocals, it felt natural. It felt good. I hadn't sang thrash in a very long time.
Right.
But it felt really good and it felt natural. So I said to Connie, when we had finished the song and everything was ready, I said, why not write some more songs? And he was, yeah, cool. So that was it. That was a starting point. That was the trigger, very strange, but cool. And then I phoned Magnus I played with him in Rosicrucian, Magnus Söderman. He is in Night Rage, the Greek-Swedish.
That's Gus G's old band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I phoned him and because he's a super guitarist. He's really, really good. And so I phoned him and asked him, what do you think about writing some new thrash songs? So I said, I'm in. He said straight away, I'm in. So the three of us started writing new songs. And this was like in the beginning of 2021. And at the end of 2021, we had 11 songs, and we had also recruited Ronny Björnström, our other guitarist, during the process. So that was basically it, and we're really pleased with how Staffe's song came out.
Brilliant.
And we're really pleased with the song being on the album, and he's still with us. From our point of view, he's still with us because he has written that song together with us, of course. Yeah.
Right then, so the logo, you changed the logo. Why was there a reason for that? Was it just because moving with the times?
Because the first we've had different logos all the time. On the first demo of Frozen Soul, we had one logo. On the second one, Across the Torment, we had another logo. And then we really wanted Musical Nations to make us a logo. So we told Dave, could you please tell the layout guys to make us a very cool logo with 3D and stuff. And we got the red one. We didn't like it at all, but it was too late because it was already printed. The cover was already done, and we didn't want that one, even though it's sort of old school and maybe cool to some. To us, it's not good, and we didn't want any connection with the old days in that sense. When we did the new songs, we wanted everything to be new. We wanted everything it was a fresh start, sort of.
Yeah.
So that's why we changed the logo, and now we have a logo that I think fits the logo is both old school but at the same time refreshed.
Yeah, when I first saw this cover, I was like, is this the same band from the 80s, 90s? Is it somebody trying to take the name from them?
Yeah.
So, okay, then, so the artwork for the new logo is really, really cool. The album, Summoned Thy Demons, who came up with the title for this?
It was me. It was I've done all the lyrics and all titles. And when we sort of voted about the album title, and Magnus thought Summoned Thy Demons was very cool, and we all agreed. So we just it was a fair democratic voting, and I the lyrics are kind of, I don't know, some of the lyrics are very metaphorical, but that song is very horror. It's a straight horror story. When I presented the title to Per Olofsson, who has done the cover, he is a big H.P. Lovecraft fan, and I read the quote for him that I'm reading at the end of the song, and he got stoked about that. So the cover is sort of inspired by that quote. So it's all connected in that way, but it's a H.P. Lovecraft, Clive Barker feel about the lyrics.
Did you have any other covers for this title?
No.
I'll say that. The production was done by Connie, Ronnie, and Magnus. How successful was the production for you? Was you pleased with the turnout at the end when it came out? Yeah,
and we worked very very hard with the production. Since Ronnie is in the band, and he's a very, very good sound engineer. It's his work, actually. He's playing guitar in Mezzrow, but he is a sound engineer and a producer, and straight metal. So that was very fortunate for us to have him in the band. And it was easy to work in that way because we could talk to each other in very straight terms. So we had band meetings all the time, regularly, and discuss the sound picture and the sound in general. And I think it came out pretty much like we expected it. Perhaps the vocals are a bit low in some songs, but you always tend to overanalyze things when you listen to it all the time, especially me. I listen to it. I don't know how many times I've listened to this album. It's I can count.
Okay, so I mean, this lineup now, you've got Connie on guitar. Is it vocals? Is it? And then sorry, guitar. And yourself on vocals. You've
Hmm.
got Magnus. You've got Bjorn, and you've got drummer John.
Yeah, but
So,
John is he's more like a session drummer. He did the drums on the album, and he said that, and he is on all the pictures as well, because it was during from the moment when we signed the contract with Atomic Fireflash. He told us that he can't join as a full member because he has other commitments. He plays drums in a band called Halkoff, and he also plays drums in a thrash band called Defiator. That's his main commitments. So he didn't really want to join. So we've started. We're looking at two other drummers at this moment. So we have two drummers.
Are you allowed to say who they are, or is it kind of silent at the moment?
Yeah, we have one guy called Alvaro.
What band was he with?
Right now he's not playing with anyone, but it's Magnus' friend, and we gave him two songs to rehearse to, and then he filmed himself in the rehearsal studio playing the songs. And he's a super drummer. He's super professional. And then we have Marcus Dahlmanner, and he plays in a band called Frantic Amber. He was with us in Finland in the beginning of the year, recording videos for King of the Infinite Void and What Is Dead May Never Die. And he is really good as well, a really nice guy. So he said, I'm really interested in joining. So we have two drummers actually to choose from.
Oh, well,
right
good
now.
luck with that. Good luck with that. So, from all the songs on the album, then, which ones are your favourite? Do you have any favourite songs from the album?
I think it has always been What Is That May Never Die. I think even though it's kind of melodic, the chorus is kind of melodic. It's a very nice a thrash song, and especially the heavy part is very Bay Area, and I love, that's my thing. The Bay Area movement has always been close to my heart, my whole life actually, and I think What Is That May Never Die is really good. I also like King of the Infinite Void, the opening track. But I like all of them. I think all the songs are it's hard to choose actually. I think most of the songs are really good.
Okay, then. So, how's the reviews been for you so far?
We've had two reviews. One from Power Play in England.
What
We got
do they say?
8 out of 10, I think.
That's pretty good. That's good for a power play.
Mhm.
I've got to review it yet. I mean, I'm not sure if you need a review now or if you hold it back a little bit, because it's not out
Yeah.
until May, the album, is it? It's a couple more months before it's released.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's doing okay then. So I mean,
And then 12 out of 15, and that's the same as 8 out of 10.
right.
From Legacy, The Voices from the Underground. It's a German, very undergroundish but big magazine. So that's the two we've had so far.
I'll send you
Waiting for a bunch or more.
I'll send you the one when it's ready to go online. So how do you see this new album as a progression from the first album, considering it's 2020?
It's a very, very big progression.
Would you be in this position now if you'd have recorded 2 or 3 albums prior to this? Do you think you'd still be?
Yeah, probably. But a big reason for this progression on this new album is because we have a couple of new members, I think. All of us, we're in our 50s, the whole band, except for Ronnie. He's like, I think he was born in 81, so he's kind of young. But we have dealt with music all our lives, all except maybe me. But the other guys they have worked with music their whole lives, and I think that you could hear that in both production and songwriting, because the songwriting structures are very obvious. You could hear yeah, the structure is pretty easy to find. When we wrote songs back in the late 80s or beginning of the 90s, we were very inspired by violence, for example, and we could have 7 or 8 riffs just piled on each other in the songs. Now when we write songs, we really think about it. We really think about the songs in a more structured way.
Okay, great. So when are we going to see the band touring?
Well, we're actually going to do our first Mezzrow. We have a premiere at Keep It True Festival in Germany.
That's a good festival.
Yeah. So on the 20th of April. So that's the first time we've ever been outside Sweden playing. No, Scandinavia. Sorry, we've been in Denmark and you know.
Well,
but
if you ever need a drum tech, you know where I am.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like I say, I work with Anvil. I'm Rob Browner's drum tech for Europe. So
nice.
So you could
so Keep It True will be sort of the first show with a new lineup, and then we'll see. Hopefully, we'll be able to make some more festivals, but it's hard for us right now because most promoters doesn't know we've started playing again. So we're looking for a booking agency right now, and we have some. We have contact with at least 2 right now, but we don't know how that ends. So, but hopefully we'll get some more festivals in during the summer.
Well, good luck with that. So, if you do have anything to say to the people watching this on YouTube before we finish?
A classic from Mezzrow. Once a thrasher, always a thrasher.
That's correct. Right. Well, thank you very much. Keep in touch.
Yeah. Thank you, Jason.
And I'll speak to you very soon.